As paratransit drivers, you will find emergencies and accidents are infrequent. Most accidents do not require evacuation. In case of an accident, it will be up to you to be the group leader and provide support to your passengers. Keep everyone inside the vehicle and do not allow any smoking. This reduces potential fire hazards and is a necessity for others who may have breathing disabilities. When rescuers arrive, inform them of any pre-existing conditions associated with your passengers. An existing or imminent fire or smoke condition requires a different response. You must act immediately to get riders out of the vehicle. Paratransit vehicles burn quickly and generate huge quantities of smoke and toxic gases. One breath of smoke or toxic gas can make a person unconscious or kill them. Emergencies requiring evacuation include leaking fuel or smoke in the passenger compartment. Immediately take charge and make decisions. Remember that paratransit riders are often unable to self-evacuate. Your response to an emergency or accident will be based on your knowledge of the accident situation, rider characteristics, and safety features and equipment on the vehicle. Pre-accident preparation in these areas will improve your response. You must know the location and use of all exits in the vehicle. This includes all door release devices, emergency exit windows, and roof hatches. For example, a standard roof hatch is useful for evacuations from a vehicle on its side. You can open it by pushing the entire hatch out to the ventilated position, then turning the knob to the unlocked position, and pushing the hatch to release it outwards. You must also know whether the vehicle has a removable windshield. Know the location and use of safety belt cutters. Cutting a safety belt with this tool is fast and easy, and can usually be accomplished with one stroke. Know the location and use of the evacuation drag cloth. Know the location, use, condition, and system policy regarding the fire extinguisher. Be sure it is operable at all times. Remember, you should not try to fight a vehicle fire. In an existing fire or smoke condition, you should evacuate the vehicle. Leave fire suppression to rescuers. Know the location and use of the first aid kit. Ensure that it is fully stocked at all times. Know the location and use of devices to warn others about an accident. Know the location and use of the two-way radio. Ensure that all signs on board are readable. In a smoke or fire condition, evacuate riders immediately. Practice opening all exit points and ensure that all safety equipment is operational before it is needed. The more you practice, the quicker you will react in an emergency. Accidents are not planned, and you can't know the exact circumstances which you will face. To be prepared, learn the basic response procedures. The following steps represent the general procedures for evacuating passengers in case of an existing or imminent fire or smoke condition. Step 1. Quickly compose yourself. Be a leader. The first and most essential task is to assume a leadership role. Inform passengers that help is on the way while remaining calm and composed at all times. Keeping calm allows you to think clearly and gives riders the impression that the emergency is under control and you are in charge. A calm driver will help passengers remain calm. Step 2. Visually assess the situation quickly. Release your safety belt and turn to the passengers. If the vehicle is upside down, you will be suspended in your seat by your safety belt. To prevent falling out of your seat, slide the belt as far below your hips onto your thighs as possible. Place one hand above your head and release the belt with your other hand. You have assessed the situation and determined that evacuation is necessary because a smoke or fire condition exists or is imminent. You must also note the following: the severity and intensity of the fire condition, The medical condition of the passengers. The number of passengers using wheelchairs. The availability of personal care attendants or ambulatory seniors who may help in the evacuation. The vehicle condition. And the available exits. Remember, do not fight a vehicle fire under any circumstances. You are responsible for evacuating yourself and your passengers. Leave fire suppression and extinguishment to rescuers. Step 3. Throw the radio microphone out the window. Open your window and throw the radio microphone out. This allows communication with your dispatcher outside the burning or smoke-filled vehicle. Step 4. Tell all ambulatory, capable passengers, including personal care attendants, to help evacuate injured and non-ambulatory passengers. Be familiar with the characteristics of the passengers that you are transporting. This will allow you to determine who can assist in an evacuation. Others may help passengers to their feet, position them on the floor, or help them through an exit point. When giving instructions, remain calm. Give clear, concise, and exact instructions. While there may be a few individuals who can help, it is most likely that you will be the only evacuator. Step 5. Lead and participate in evacuation. Evacuation is the most critical step in saving lives. The characteristics of each emergency requiring evacuation will be different. Remember your own physical limitations and capabilities. Don't perform any evacuation technique which will cause you injury. Use techniques with which you are familiar and confident. How a rider wants to be evacuated is secondary to what is necessary in an emergency. Release passengers from safety belts. Instruct all passengers to release their safety belts in a clear, calm, firm voice. For those who can't, release them or cut the belts with a safety belt cutter. For passengers using wheelchairs, only the safety belt should be cut. If the vehicle is not in the upright position, use caution when releasing the belt, and position yourself to ease the passenger to the floor. Wheelchairs and other assistive devices should be left on the bus. They may be recovered later. Lead to the most usable exit. Decide on the most usable exit and direct riders to it. The most usable exit will vary depending on the emergency conditions, including the vehicle orientation and the blockage of exits. The best exit point may be the driver door, front passenger door, the rear door, emergency exit windows, or roof hatches. Assist ambulatory passengers. There are two types of evacuation to be performed. The first is evacuation of ambulatory passengers who need minimal to no assistance. Tell passengers to release their seatbelts, get up, and leave through the safest exit. However, many passengers can't do this without assistance because of shock, disorientation, or pre-existing physical conditions. Assist a person to a standing position. One-arm and two-arm assists are two techniques to help a passenger stand up. Always assist a person to their unaffected side. For the one-arm assist, lean forward and place your hand behind the person's elbow. Instruct the person to pull on your arm to stand, using your weight to allow the person to pull themselves to their feet. Remember to hold the assist until they are balanced. For the two-arm assist, turn slightly sideways and offer your forearm parallel to the rider. Stabilize your arm by grasping your wrist with your opposite arm. Instruct the person to pull on your arm to stand, and use your weight to provide a stable object for the person to pull on. Most buses have narrow aisles. Assisting a passenger to an exit may be as simple as walking behind them with a hand on their shoulder to help them maintain their balance and keep them from falling. Some individuals with cognitive impairments may refuse to exit despite the existing or imminent smoke or fire condition. You must be firm and specific in your directions to these passengers. Remember that you may need to physically force the person from the vehicle in order to save their life. Passengers who can self-evacuate should be able to assist others moving from the vehicle to the ground. When evacuating through the main passenger door, provide basic assistance on the steps. When evacuating through the rear door or an emergency exit window, there is a large distance between the vehicle floor level and the ground level. Instruct the person to sit on the floor at the rear door with their legs hanging outside and to gradually step out. Position yourself or an assisting passenger or aide in front of them at ground level to provide support. A quicker technique requires you to stand on the ground facing the doorway while instructing passengers to put their arms around your shoulders. You can then put your hands on their waist and lift them out of the vehicle. Another technique involves standing on the ground facing the rear doorway with your palms turned up towards the passenger. The passenger places his or her hands in yours and uses them for support while stepping out of the vehicle. This technique may also be performed with an evacuated passenger or Good Samaritan, with each person standing on opposite sides of the door holding one palm up. If the vehicle is on its side, evacuate through the rear door. If the rear door is blocked, instruct passengers to climb through the roof hatch. As a last resort, evacuate through the emergency exit windows on the top of the bus. Instruct passengers to climb onto your shoulders and climb out of the window. Follow the passengers out the window. Lead them to the front of the vehicle and slide down the hood to the ground. Instruct passengers to follow with your support. This is a difficult maneuver and should only be used as a last resort. Similarly, ambulatory passengers may be evacuated through the main passenger stairwell and door, if the vehicle has turned on the driver's side. This is also difficult and should only be completed as a last resort. Assist non-ambulatory passengers. Evacuation of non-ambulatory passengers is more difficult. It takes additional planning, physical movement, and time. The crucial element is time because of how quickly a paratransit vehicle can fill with smoke. While these techniques may be easiest, use any reasonable means possible to evacuate passengers in an emergency. Unless the vehicle is on its side, place a drag cloth on the floor to receive the passenger. Lean forward and place the passenger's arms around your shoulders. Lock your hands and arms behind their back and slide them to the edge of the seat. Then lift the person and transfer them to the floor. Once their buttocks reach the floor, reposition their legs and lower them to the floor. Remember that the passenger's head and shoulders must face the direction you want to drag them. This will prevent arms and legs from becoming entangled with the seats as you drag them. Once the person is at floor level, stand or kneel behind them. Bunch the cloth above the passenger's head and lift to form a cradle. Drag the person to the exit. Stooping is quicker, but is more strenuous and more likely to expose you to smoke. Remember to keep the passenger as straight and flat as possible. If a drag cloth isn't available, drag the person by their clothing. This is similar to the emergency cloth drag, except that you grasp the person's collar and pull until their clothing bunches at their armpits. Remember to frequently check that the bunched clothing is not hindering breathing. Unbutton, unzip, or cut any clothing that hinders breathing. Use the bunched clothing to drag them to the exit in a stooped or kneeling position. If a drag cloth isn't available and passenger clothing is too flimsy, use the shoulder drag technique. For shoulder dragging, place the passenger in a seated position. Wrap your arms under their armpits and clasp your hands around their chest. Then stand and drag the person to the exit. This is most effective in a rollover accident where the vehicle is upside down, so the passenger can be taken out of the vehicle immediately. If the person has been dragged to the exit, they should be dragged out. For rear door evacuation, support the person's upper torso as much as possible. Position your arms under their armpits and clasp your hands over their chest. Any other method is acceptable as long as you don't injure yourself or the person. Support the passenger's back with your thigh as you slide them out of the vehicle. Be careful of large drops. Once the person's feet are on the ground, drag them to a safe location away from the vehicle. Some emergencies occur in which both the front and rear doors of an upright vehicle become inoperable. In these cases, evacuate persons through an emergency exit window. Lean forward and place the passenger's arms around your shoulders. Lock your hands behind their back and lift the person over the seat in front of them. Open the emergency exit window directly in front of the passenger. Remember to keep the passenger's head and shoulders on the seat. Then lift the passenger's legs out of the window. This may be an uncomfortable position, but evacuation is more important than comfort. Lift and push the person over the windowsill and out of the window until you are leaning out as far as you can. Be careful of the window hitting your head. Once outside the vehicle, slowly lower the person to the ground. This is a difficult and strenuous technique to perform, but it may be the only means of evacuation. For buses with many wheelchair securement positions, there is often no seat in front of the passenger to use during the evacuation. In these cases, cut all securement straps to the wheelchair and passenger. Open the emergency exit window next to the passenger. Position the wheelchair so that the person's back is facing the window. Tilt the chair back and rest the handles on the windowsill. Exit the vehicle by another window. Position yourself outside of the emergency exit window and facing the vehicle. Reach in to wrap your arms around the person's torso. And drag the person out of the bus. Once the person has been evacuated, re-enter the vehicle to evacuate others if possible. If the smoke condition is dangerous, do not re-enter the vehicle. Wait for rescuers. If you do re-enter, use the fuel filler cap location as a step while pulling yourself up by the sides of the open window. This is difficult, but necessary to evacuate others. Once inside, repeat the evacuation sequence for other passengers. Note that these techniques work equally as well for passengers who do not use a wheelchair, but have other mobility impairments. If an aid is available, evacuation through a window is quicker and less strenuous. Instruct the aid to position themselves outside of the vehicle, underneath the emergency exit window, and facing away from the vehicle. While the aid holds the window open, lift the person through the window head first. The aid takes the passenger onto his shoulders and removes them from the vehicle. For buses with many wheelchair securement positions, an aid simplifies the process. Instruct the aid to position themselves outside, facing the vehicle. Hold the window open while the aid reaches in and wraps his arms around the person in the tilted wheelchair. The aid then drags the person out of the bus. You can easily position other passengers for evacuation by the same technique while the aid drags the person from the vehicle. When the vehicle is on its side, carry a person to and out of the exit. Use the rear door for evacuation if it can be opened and remain open. The hinges of the door must be on the bottom side of the vehicle for it to remain open. If they are on top, the door will hinder evacuation. In order to carry passengers who are hanging from safety belts, lower them onto your shoulder by positioning yourself underneath them and releasing their belts. Keep the passenger's feet to your front side because feet-first evacuation is easier. Carry them to the exit and lower them out. If the passenger is lying on the floor, they still must be positioned on your shoulder. Place the passenger in a seated position. Then lift them over the seat in front of them. Kneel down and slide them onto your shoulder. Stand and carry them to the exit. If a service animal is on board, evacuate the person whose animal it is first. The animal will usually follow their owner. With window evacuation, carry the animal out after the person has been evacuated. The animal's owner may help. Step 6. Verify all passengers have been evacuated and move passengers a safe distance from the vehicle. After evacuation, move riders to a secure location, a safe distance away from the burning vehicle and other traffic. Verify that all passengers are off of the vehicle by counting and comparing the count with the manifest number. Remember to contain the group by keeping them together. Containment of passengers after evacuation may be difficult. Some passengers may want to wander. You must be sure that no one leaves the group. If possible, assign a passenger to monitor the group while you complete additional tasks. Step 7. Contact dispatcher. Once passengers are contained, use the radio to contact the dispatcher. State your name, vehicle number, current location, description of emergency, and a request for help. The clearer the description, the better the rescuer response. If the radio is unavailable, distribute a Good Samaritan or emergency notification card to passing motorists. These cards encourage passers-by to notify rescuers immediately. Step 8. Place warning devices. If evacuated passengers are contained, place triangular reflectors to warn other motorists of the emergency. Never use flares as an advance warning device because they create a fire hazard. Step 9. Provide support to evacuated passengers. While in the containment area, provide moral support to injured and uninjured passengers. If appropriately trained, provide life support to passengers who need it. Keep evacuated riders calm. Once rescuers arrive, they assume jurisdiction over the evacuation process. Cooperate with the rescuers and provide them with all appropriate information. Now, let's review the general evacuation procedures. Step 1. Quickly compose yourself. Be a leader. Step 2. Visually assess the situation quickly. Step 3. Throw the radio microphone out of the window. Step 4. Tell all ambulatory capable passengers, including personal care attendants, to help evacuate injured and non-ambulatory passengers. Step 5. Lead and participate in the evacuation. Step 6. Verify all passengers have been evacuated and move passengers a safe distance from the vehicle. Step 7. Contact dispatcher. Step 8. Place warning devices. Step 9. Provide support to evacuated passengers.